There have been some pretty juicy rumors circling around the internet regarding the 30th anniversary of Final Fantasy, and we've been getting a ton of requests to cover this topic. So, let's get this thing rolling. I think it goes without saying that next year should be a pretty big year for Final Fantasy. I mean, it's turning 30 years old. Yep, that's almost 30 years since the original game arrived in Japan. For the last two 5-year anniversary celebrations, Square Enix has attempted to make quite the splash, although in very different ways. For the 20th anniversary of Final Fantasy, Square Enix went heavy on the game releases. In 2007, we had Final Fantasy I and II Anniversary Editions, which launched on the PSP. Final Fantasy Tactics: The War of the Lions was also released on the PSP. Final Fantasy IV Remake released on the Nintendo DS. And Final Fantasy XII International Zodiac Job System released on the PS2. In 2008, we had The City of Final Fantasy on PSP as the ultimate mashup title that everyone had always craved. When it came to the 25th anniversary, Square Enix decided to take things to a whole new level. Well, at least when it came to everything except the release of new games. For starters, in Japan, they released the Final Fantasy 25th Anniversary Ultimate Box. It contained Final Fantasy I, Final Fantasy II, Final Fantasy IV, Final Fantasy V, Final Fantasy VI, Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy VIII, and Final Fantasy IX all on PS1. They also threw in Final Fantasy X, the Final Fantasy XI Vana'diel Collection, and Final Fantasy XII on PS2. Final Fantasy III wasn't forgotten as it was playable on the PSP, and Final Fantasy XIII came on the PS3. It was a mammoth piece of kit containing 21 discs and a UMD, and it cost a pretty penny too, rocking at about £250 or $300. In terms of new games released for the celebration, we got Theatrhythm Final Fantasy on Nintendo 3DS. Yep, that's pretty much it. Final Fantasy Airborne Brigade released as a new game on mobile devices in Japan, and Final Fantasy Dimensions was also ported to mobile devices. Final Fantasy VII was re-released on PC, and the DS version of Final Fantasy III was ported to the PSP, presumably so they could include it in that 25th anniversary box set. Here's when things got a bit more special though, as Square Enix not only released a few different albums, including Final Fantasy Tribute and Final Fantasy 25th Anniversary Square Enix Music Composers Selection, they also had special Distant Worlds concerts to celebrate the milestone. There was an extensive range of merchandise produced, from coffee tumblers to Final Fantasy playing cards, some novels, the Final Fantasy Memorial Ultimania, some 25th anniversary trading card decks, and even the 25th anniversary Chocobo. At PAX they set up the Final Fantasy 25th anniversary experience. There was an art exhibition in Japan where they actually announced Lightning Returns. Oh, and they had the Final Fantasy Super Fan Contest for anyone who remembers that. In short, while the gaming side of things was a little weak, Square Enix wanted to put on a big party. Heck, Advent Children even apparently aired on Japanese TV for the first time. So that brings us to 2017, the 30th anniversary of the franchise. We know Square Enix are already planning something, as they've already launched a website for the celebration. But so far they've been very tight-lipped on what will actually take place. The only thing we know for sure is that there will at least be one game release. However, according to a massive leak that surfaced online, which supposedly details Square Enix's plans, from a gaming perspective at least, we should be getting a whole lot more. Alright, so it's no real surprise the leak mentions Final Fantasy XII The Zodiac Age, as the game will release in 2017. Square Enix already announced this as such, albeit without a specific date or a period in year defined, so this is pretty much a dead certainty. The leak also claims that the first part of the Final Fantasy VII Remake will release in 2017, which would be perfect as it also represents the 20th anniversary of Final Fantasy VII. They also believe that there will be a Final Fantasy XIII Trilogy that will release on PS4, with a separate disc for each game, and that the Final Fantasy VII Remake and Final Fantasy XV will both be arriving on PC, in addition to a host of older games, such as Final Fantasy I, Final Fantasy II, and even Chrono Trigger. The leak also suggests that a Final Fantasy 30th Anniversary Collection will be released, but it won't be as exhaustive as the 25th Anniversary Collection in its vanilla form. You see, the leak states that it won't just have one version, they're proposing that there will be 3. The regular edition, which will feature Final Fantasy 1 to 9 all in one disc, either PS4 or PS Vita. The Collector's Edition, which will feature the same lineup of games, but in addition will contain a poster, an art book, an 8-bit Black Mage keychain, a Chocobo plush, and a 2-disc selection soundtrack chosen by Nobuo Uematsu. The final version will be dubbed the Crystal Complete Edition. It will only be available in limited quantities and will be a much more expanded version. In addition to the games featured in the regular and collector's editions, it will also come with Final Fantasy X 10-2 HD Collection, Final Fantasy XII The Zodiac Age, the Final Fantasy XIII Trilogy, Final Fantasy XV including all DLC, Final Fantasy XIV A Realm Reborn, plus expansions and a 3-month subscription, all on PS4. They claimed it will also feature special items relating to Final Fantasy XI Mobile. From a non-gaming perspective, it will also include everything in the Collector's Edition, but will include a bolstering 4-disc Uematsu Selection soundtrack, a crystal necklace, a Moogle plush, a Black Mage statue, all 3 TCG starter decks, and Blu-rays of Advent Children, Kingsglaive, and Brotherhood. This glorious package will come in a luxury chest, decorated with the Final Fantasy logo. This all sounds pretty tasty to me, and to be honest, there's nothing too outlandish in there. What do you guys think about the rumor? Do you think it's feasible? What would you like to see Square Enix release for the 30th anniversary of Final Fantasy? Let us know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Alright guys, this is Lauren signing out. See you next time!